to be truly alone. I have had ample time to ponder this question all these long years, wandering these halls from witching hour to dawn.
Oh my gosh! A floating shopping list! Ah!
I'm not a shopping list. I'm a ghost. Ooh, scary. Ghost. Ooh. Listen, Chandler.
How do you know my name?
Because you know me. It is I, the PhantomStrider of the theme park.
Strider?
Yeah, you wanted to do a video about Dead End Paranormal Park with me?
Yeah, but it's like 11:30 at night.
Oh, sorry, I meant to come in at 3 a.m. It's way too early.
What's with this elaborate SpongeBob reference anyways? I thought you had green screen teleportation powers.
Yeah, I kind of don't have that set up anymore. Long story. Would my animated avatar form be okay?
Yeah, that'll work.
Sorry for waking you up. I'll let you get some sleep. Say, does Burger King still have that Krabby Whopper?
I think so? I don't know.
Ooh, good. I want to try it.
Well, let me know if it's any better than that Wendy's one.
Oh yeah, will do.
That's gonna be a dated reference by the time this comes out. On May 22nd, 2025, after years of waiting and delays, Universal's Epic Universe theme park finally opened its gates to the public. This park is such an amazing addition to the lineup of world-class attractions here in Orlando, Florida. Epic Universe is home to 5 immersive lands, including Celestial Park in the center, Super Nintendo World, which had previously opened in Osaka, Japan, and Hollywood, California, the Isle of Berg from How to Train Your Dragon, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter and Ministry of Magic, which actually features 1920s France as seen in Fantastic Beasts 2, 3, I don't know, I didn't see it. I don't think anybody did. And of course, the land I've been the most excited for, the Universal Monsters themed land, Dark Universe. This land, of course, recycles the name of the cinematic universe that failed to launch with the 2017 Mummy. And it brings these characters and the world they live in to life like never before. The Universal Monsters, and the horror genre in general, have had a long-standing connection to the LGBTQ community. And it makes sense. Horror movies often feature protagonists and creatures that are misunderstood outcasts.
To me, Dark Universe is about acceptance. A lot of these monsters, they're the outsiders. They're the ones that are looking for a connection. Dark Universe is for everybody. It's a place where these iconic stories and characters come to life. And for the first time ever, you are a part of it.
But there's a little bit of a conflict of interest with that, and it just so happens to be located right on the other side of Celestial Park. The Wizarding World of Harry Potter first opened in 2010 and completely transformed Universal Orlando Resort from being that other theme park resort we'll visit if we have time, to a must-do destination for Floridian tourists. It also largely changed the way that theme park lands were designed and constructed. Islands of Adventure was the obvious choice for the location of the original Wizarding World, given that the park was already built around immersive individual lands based on specific IPs. But doing this really took off after the success of Universal's Wizarding World and Disney's Cars Land. And this level of storytelling and attention to detail is something that parks have really been striving for with new additions ever since.
Even Australia's gotten in on the fun with additions like the Wizard of Oz precinct at Warner Brothers Movie World.
That she chooses to wear is very intentional.
Do they seriously call their themed lands precincts?
Yeah, it's not exactly the most magical term to describe an area of a theme park, is it?
In 2014, shortly after Hogsmeade opened, Universal expanded the Wizarding World and opened Diagon Alley at the previously underattended Universal Studios Florida. This would include more shops, Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts, and of course the Hogwarts Express, connecting the two parks to encourage people to buy two-park tickets. And in 2019, back over at Islands of Adventure, they opened the insanely popular Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure on the spot where the old Dragon Challenge roller coaster used to be. And even with Epic Universe, you could still make a very strong argument that this is the most popular and sought-after ride in the entire resort. It's an incredible ride that still gets massive wait times. Unfortunately, that was also right around the time that J.K. Rowling started being outwardly horrible. Do I begrudge Universal for having all of the Harry Potter stuff? No, of course not. How on earth were they supposed to know that J.K. Rowling would eventually lose her mind and spend her whole life arguing with people on Twitter that trans people shouldn't be allowed to use restrooms? And speaking of restrooms, a part of me wonders if this all stemmed from her trying to cling to relevance after she revealed that witches and wizards used to poop their pants before they adopted Muggle plumbing. Yeah, remember that?
She actually had to sit down and write that, and then thought, yeah, I should publish this.
But anyways, because of this, I've been thinking about what happens to creative works and their fans after it's revealed that their creator is not a good person. And I think one of the best explorations of this can be found in the sadly short-lived Netflix animated comedy, Dead End Paranormal Park. Created by Hamish Steele, Dead End is based on the Dead Endia graphic novels, and centers around a pair of teenagers who get jobs at Phoenix Parks, the theme park created by superstar singer, actress, and public icon, Pauline Phoenix. The two main kids, Barney and Norma, are both outcasts at school for different reasons. Barney is a trans boy who ends up running away from home seeking a clean slate after his family doesn't stick up for him enough, and...
I just can't be at home right now, okay? I'm gonna stay here for a few days. Pugsley too.
Wait, hold on. How is Barney able to just casually live in the central icon of the park, rent-free?
I know, right? I mean, I literally haven't even had a chance to go look at the Cinderella Castle suite, let alone stay in it. Also, really quick, getting some park mechanics out of the way, you have an attraction that's been closed for like a year that staff were able to go into, and...
No one's been in here for a year! Not since the Jennifer Swan incident!
Well, actually that one kind of checks out. And staff-only express lines, meaning that apparently the park doesn't sell fast passes, they just give them to their employees for free?
You know, you guys can go in the employee fast lane. Just duck under the rails and show your pass at the front.
Okay. So long, suckers!
Yeah, that must be nice.
I wonder if the employees at Dreamworld get to do the spinning car on the steel Taipan for free.
Man, I want to do that. And the backwards car on DC Rivals. Norma, on the other hand, is autistic and struggles with anxiety. She desperately wants a job at the park because she has a strong special interest in everything to do with Pauline Phoenix. Phoenix Parks has always been her happy place, her safe space, and so is her love of Pauline's movies and TV shows.
And his own birthday party, too.
His big special day.
In the first episode, The Job, we find out that one of the park's Pauline Phoenix impersonators, Jennifer Swan, has gone missing.
It was on a night like tonight, except it was raining, and I think it was a Thursday morning, actually. One of the park's Pauline impersonators entered Dead End and never came out.
She died? In here?
Whoa, no, I just said she didn't come out.
A demon named Courtney, played by Emily Osment, clearly having a blast in the role, kind of just hangs out in the house in the center of the park and has set up a fake job application as a trap in order to find a demon named Temalucas, a new body to possess. You know, like you do.
I rescind my application. The job's yours!
Barney's dog gets possessed trying to save Barney, Norma and Barney are able to trap most of Temalucas in a ride photo, and Courtney decides that having Barney and Norma around would probably be a good idea after all. Oh yeah, and Pugsley can talk now.
Night-night, Barney.
Also, Alex Brightman plays both Pugsley and Temalucas. In episode 2, The Tunnel, it's orientation day for all of the new hires, and Pugsley ends up accidentally waking up a bunch of sentient park mascot suits. This episode mainly serves to familiarize us more with the park and our main characters, and this is where Barney tells Norma that he's trans.
I'm trans, Norma. And everyone at school knows, and everyone at home knows. And being here, it's like a whole new place. I can just be Barney, and I can choose if and when I tell people.
This is such a great moment, but it does make me wish that we got a similar moment in the first few episodes of season 1 where Norma flat out says that she's autistic. It's just so rare to get a canonically autistic main character in something where her being autistic isn't the entire hook of the show. And I'd really love to see more of what we got with June's introduction in The Ghost and Molly McGee.
I'm autistic, and I guess not everyone can handle my unbridled truth. Honesty is the best policy.
Even without her flat out saying it, I think Norma is a good example of how to do autism representation better. I really liked episode 3, Trust Me, with the team building fear demon. Barney's fear that his family doesn't have his back is handled really well, and so are Norma's challenges as an autistic individual with strong anxiety. It's no surprise that a lot of this came directly from Dead End's creator, Hamish Steele.
By the way, Barney's parents don't know that he's been hiding out at the park this whole time. And in Night of the Living Kids, Barney and Norma are supposed to work an overnight shift at this awesome dinosaur-themed indoor playground, supervising a birthday party sleepover. And the birthday guest of honor turns out to be none other than his little brother Patrick. Oh yeah, and all the kids get turned into sleep-deprived zombies. This is a fun show. It's very Gravity Falls-esque. In wait time 22 minutes, while Barney is trying to act on a crush on one of his co-workers, Logs, Pugsley, Courtney, and Norma play around with possession, like you do. And evidently, when you get possessed, you get sent to this sort of in-between purgatory place. It's sort of like the Upside Down from Stranger Things, only not as fleshy. There, Barney and Norma find Jennifer Swan wandering around dazed and confused. And by the end of the episode, she's freed from purgatory.
Luckily for Barney, Logs has a supernatural amount of understanding and liked him even after Pugsley possessed him and, Barney started sniffing Logs' butt. Like, seriously, that was a bad first date.
Then in Norma Khan Paranormal Detective, Norma continues to investigate the string of disappearances with her very sweet coworker Badia.
I'm solving a disappearance. Possibly a murder.
If investigating a murder is the only way to hang out with you, then fine. Where are we heading first, boss?
While Barney finally meets up with his parents and little brother again, and tries to talk things out. It doesn't go particularly well.
This episode did a really good job of capturing a parental argument's beats without getting too uncomfortable. It really walks that line well.
I don't get it. We accepted you.
That is what parents are supposed to do. That's the bare minimum.
I also love how Patrick just isn't picking up on any of the thinly veiled metaphors.
You could be a little more thankful.
Am I supposed to thank you for everything? Oh, thank you for these cheese fries. Oh, thank you for the cornbread. It's divine. Thanks for giving birth to me!
You're welcome. It wasn't easy, you know.
What's this got to do with nachos?
And after a thorough investigation, Norma comes to the conclusion that the culprit can only be Pauline's ex-stunt double, Barbora.
What? Norma? Really?
Well, who else could it be?
Pauline! She's tracking everyone's movements.
All the victims are her lookalikes.
She has access to the whole park.
She's a rich white lady, and they can be the worst.
It's obviously Pauline. So, case closed.
I think the show does a great job of portraying the way people who are massive fans of someone's work will make excuses or try to shift blame when evidence begins to come to light that their idol may have done something horrible. Norma wants so much for the culprit to be someone else. Pauline and Barbora had some kind of falling out while filming an insurance ad, and for some reason this crucial evidence towards proving who Pauline actually is was hiding in one of the monitors in the Pauline Phoenix Experience Museum. Phoenix Parks takes a lot of inspiration from the Disney parks and of course Dollywood, with Dolly Parton being the inspiration for Pauline Phoenix. The Pauline Phoenix Experience Museum in the show was very obviously inspired by Chasing Rainbows at Dollywood, which is filled with beautiful costumes and props from Dolly's various film, television, and stage appearances. Actually, as I was editing this video, I found out that like a year ago they refurbished the museum and it actually was renamed to the Dolly Parton Experience. But all of my footage you're seeing here is from my visit in 2021. Pauline is obviously meant to be something of an evil nightmare version of Dolly Parton. Very vain and self-absorbed, where Dolly is extremely kind and humble. And I know humble is probably the last word you'd use to describe someone who renamed an existing theme park after themselves, but really quickly, Dollywood started its life as an attraction called Rebel Railroad that opened in 1961. It became Gold Rush Junction in 1970 and became Silver Dollar City after Hershend Entertainment purchased the park in 1976. Dolly Parton purchased a 50% ownership stake in the park in 1986, becoming a co-owner, and the park was rebranded to Dollywood. She did this as a way to bring jobs and tourism to her hometown of Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. She's also donated millions of dollars to help people in the Smoky Mountains after wildfires. And she's done so much other work for charity. The woman is a straight-up saint. Pauline, on the other hand, yeah, not so much. Norma confronts Barbora, accusing her of kidnapping the impersonators. But then Pauline shows up, in the flesh.
Well, kind of. Sore subject, actually.
Or ectoplasm. Due to some kind of demon magic that's never really explained or elaborated on, Pugsley manages to summon the commercial and starts getting sucked into the TV as Pauline attacks. And Norma's reaction here really says everything. The kids escape into the television and find themselves playing different characters in Pauline's debut film role, Dead End. Barney and Pugsley snap out of it pretty quickly and end up going through different movies and TV shows Channel Chasers style as they attempt to wake up Courtney and eventually Norma. Norma admits that she realized what was going on back at Dead End, but wanted to just stay in this world with the Pauline she knew and not face the reality of what the real Pauline did.
But none of this is real.
So what? Look at me, Barney. I'm Patience Bonaparte, the Lady of Dead End. I can stay here forever with Pauline. With my Pauline. Not that thing from the museum. I can be whoever she needs me to be.
You know, it's pretty cool to see the house like this, in its original glory. I love this house too. I chose it as my hiding place, just like you. But it doesn't work. In the end, you can't hide from your demons.
And that one line from Barney is a more insightful statement on the nature of escapism than anything the guy who made Escape from Tomorrow has ever said. Escapism can take many forms: books, film, television, theme parks. Being able to enjoy and create art is one of the most important things about being human. But media still can't ever be a permanent escape from reality. Because at some point, the story ends. The park closes, and we have to go home.
You could stay here and be all these other people, or come back and be Norma Khan. I don't know anyone else who's defeated a fear demon, or stopped an army of zombie mascots, or even rewrote the park's guidebook from scratch.
Well, it was a bit uninspired, and the Russian translation was really lacking.
Exactly. Not even Pauline has done those things.
They go into the insurance commercial and finally learn the truth of what went down all those years ago. It turns out that Pauline actually died while filming that insurance ad, and her ghost possessed Barbara.
Not bad. Shame about the teeth.
Pauline, dear, are you okay? I'm fine. Just a scratch.
And after her, she went through all the other impersonators, using them to keep herself young and beautiful forever. And this finally brings us to the triumph that is Phantom of the Theme Park. Easily the best episode of the entire show. Since Barney and Norma have been banned from the park,
Banned for life? She turned the whole park against us.
they have to sneak in. And they ask Pugsley to cast a spell as a distraction. And his solution is to cast a spell that makes everyone break out into song and dance.
Norma, you said distraction. Well, this is my reaction. A magical musical to help us sneak through.
That's right, it's a musical episode. Pugsley casts another spell that projects an illusion over Norma to be a perfect doppelganger of Pauline, so that she can audition to be the new Pauline impersonator. And this brings us to the incredible song that is My Frankenstein. And this song serves as the climax of Norma's character arc throughout all of Season 1. The music for this episode was co-composed by Dead End's co-creator Hamish Steele and Fall Out Boy frontman Patrick Stump, whose other credits include Star vs. the Force of Evil, the Lego Batman movie, Spidey and His Amazing Friends, and of course, the roller coaster directly behind me. In a world that pretty much wasn't designed for you, finding something that resonates with you that deeply is a powerful thing. Pauline's work made Norma who she is, and nothing can change that. Much like Dr. Frankenstein created his monster. Or her monster. Love you, Victoria.
So what do I say? So what do I say?
I think the vast majority of people know what it's like to have someone they look up to let them down. But it really does hit so much harder when you're on the spectrum. And it's awful to find out that something or someone that you loved and helped shape who you are is problematic or harmful. While there's no easy solution, I think it helps to not bury your head in the sand and pretend that people are just overblowing the issue, or that it somehow doesn't matter. Of course it matters. And this is what Norma tries to do at first, pretend it doesn't matter. It can be scary, but you have to confront your demons. Because even if they're not directly hurting you, the people they are hurting need your support.
You're my Frankenstein.
After Norma literally and figuratively brings the freaking house down, she gets picked by Pauline, and we get the episode's title song, Phantom of the Theme Park, where Pauline possesses Norma. This gets us to Pauline's concert, and unfortunately that's kind of it for Norma's character arc in Season 1, because this is where everything from the first episode comes back around, and Tema Lucas returns to be the big bad alongside his sister, and Courtney finally goes home, air quotes are on home, to hell. And I didn't even mention Courtney's I Want song, which is great because it's literally a Disney song about wanting to go to hell. That's hilarious. Also, there's the sweet song Barney sings about logs, the awesome Friend Like Me duet Pugsley sings with Tema Lucas, which is a double Alex Brightman duet, and of course the finale song. Great freaking episode. And in the Season 1 finale, Barney and Norma have to save Pugsley and the park from Tema Lucas. But what does Norma do after the Season 1 climax? Well, she decides to start a podcast about the paranormal with Badia. I mean, it makes sense. She basically sees demons, ghosts, and angels all the time. But the park very much takes a back seat as Norma's interest, and by proxy, the park feels like much less of an important element in Season 2. And as a theme park nerd, I think that's a real shame. I just wish we saw a little more of Norma's interest in the park in Season 2. But also, I completely understand what it's like for a special interest or hyperfixation to die down after you've been saturated with it for a while. Besides, she wants to focus more on her love life, asking Badia out, which of course is terrifying. After some time loop shenanigans...
There's no tomorrow, just today, over and over again.
Yeah, we probably should have watched this before we did the curse.
I tried to warn you.
She's ultimately able to confess, but Badia doesn't feel the same way.
Norma, you're the weirdest, coolest person I know. And anyone would be lucky to be with you. But I'm straight. I mean, I'm pretty sure I am. Do you think not thinking about it means you are? I don't know.
That's okay.
Is that okay?
Which is a bummer, but I love how realistic it is. Sometimes these things just don't work out, and that's okay. In My Sweet 1600, Badia feels bad that things are weird between her and Norma, and tries to set her up with Zagan. But Norma comes to the conclusion that she's not in the right headspace for a romantic relationship, and needs space.
I just knew when you said things were fine, they weren't, and I wanted us to be friends again.
We are friends, Badia. We'll always be friends.
Good! Then we can make plans for tomorrow. Maybe before work, or after work, or...
But I need space. And you've been all over me trying to make me feel better. And right now, that's just something you can't do.
What are you saying?
Barbara, I quit.
In All Dolled Up, Norma is trying to move on, but her suppressed interest comes back with a vengeance. Clearly, she didn't have the heart to actually throw away all of her Pauline stuff, which, yeah, that checks out. This is another great showcase episode for Norma's character. You can really see where she and her mom are both coming from. Norma's mom has done everything she can to embrace her daughter's interests and support her needs, but is having a hard time adjusting when those interests and needs have changed.
You were such a picky eater, but then we got this and all you wanted were pancakes 24/7.
But you can tell that she's trying her hardest, and it's really sweet. Meanwhile, Norma doesn't want her mom to infantilize her, which is a really common problem with people on the autism spectrum.
I'm not a baby anymore, and I don't need Pauline pancakes. I don't need Pauline anything, okay?
Wait, when she said frozen dinosaurs, did she mean those are frozen chicken nuggets? I hope not.
Oh, jeez. I've seen some pretty ridiculous things in my time reviewing failed fast food items. but ice cream and hot sauce is a new one.
She thinks coming out to her mom will help, and she has a really great talk with Logs about coming out and how it's different for everyone.
I'm bi. Whoa. I don't think I've ever said that out loud before. I'm bi, Logs. Bye, 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 bye. Bye, bye, bye. I can tell you, but I don't know how to tell my mom. She doesn't know how to talk to me unless it's via my interests, and she still thinks I like Pauline.
Coming out is a process, not a one-time event, and you're young, and I don't know. It's complicated with Asian families. I mean, I'm not out to my mom.
You? Super confident you?
Obviously, you guys know I'm gay, but with my mom, I like our relationship how it is, and I just don't want anything to change.
I have the opposite problem. Like, if I don't tell my mom, she'll never see me as a grown-up, and I feel like I'm going to explode.
Oh, I know about the gay explosion.
Bi explosions are pretty rough, too.
But this show wouldn't live up to the paranormal part of its name if something paranormal didn't happen. Which is why Norma's mom ends up being attacked by possessed Pauline dolls who want to take over her body as a new host.
But I look nothing like you.
Oh, I know a few plastic surgeons who will disagree.
Ew!
Norma finally comes out to her mom, and she's incredibly sweet and accepting.
I'm bi. I'm not ready to talk deets just yet, and please, please don't ask me any dating questions, okay? But that's what's been wrong.
Sweetie, there's nothing wrong with that. You brave, brave girl. I'm so proud of you. I love you so much.
And Norma's mom, having listened to every episode of the podcast, suggests giving Pauline a way to fulfill her unfinished business by setting up the Phoenix Parks model again. Norma's arc in this episode actually feels a little similar to Luz's relationship with her mom in the Owl House. They just go somewhat different directions. Luz and Norma both spent time away from home, found strong friendships, and grew so much as characters in the process of pursuing their neurodivergent interests. The difference is, Norma's interests ended up changing while Luz's didn't. And both of those things are perfectly valid. What's important is that they both have an incredible, loving, and supportive parent who's there for them as they continue to grow and transition to the next chapter in their lives. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff that happens in Season 2 that we didn't talk about in this video, and I'd definitely be open to discussing more of it down the road. But in a nutshell, what's great about Dead End Paranormal Park is that it's really a celebration of identity. It's a show that's all about being your best and most authentic self and loving who you love. But back to Miss Joanne Catherine Rowling.
Death of the author is a term coined by French literary critic Rowling Problem. In his essay, he argues that the author's intent is not as important as a reader's interpretation.
People will tell you that you should separate the art from the artist when a creator turns out to be a monster. Sometimes that's not so hard, especially when you're talking about an ongoing TV show. Take The Loud House, for example. The creator of the show was fired for harassment, and the show continued production with no issues. Say what you want about the Loud House fandom,
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
but that was able to continue pretty much intact. But in the wake of Rowling's disgusting transphobia, a lot of people have sworn off the Harry Potter franchise entirely because of how betrayed they feel. And I completely empathize with that. But a lot of people act like you can't be an LGBTQ ally and still like or even engage with Harry Potter in any capacity. I've even heard some people say that they'll never go to Universal so long as they have Harry Potter, which is crazy to me.
It's a complicated bag of beans, but Nin and I do still enjoy the films, and we'd love to still visit the Universal Parks someday.
One of my good friends in the Ghost and Molly McGee Discord server actually asked one of that show's co-creators, Bill Motz, how he would feel if she drew the Molly McGee characters in Hogwarts robes. Bill said, J.K. Rowling created a world of imagination, fun, inclusion, and acceptance. Creators can disappoint, but sometimes their creations transcend them. That's the strange, wonderful, mystical nature of art. Once it leaves the creator, it takes on a life of its own. To me, that's exactly what Death of the Author is, and that sums up my feelings perfectly.
I agree, and I think it's absurd to try and ignore Harry Potter and the impact it's had on pop culture and people's lives. While it does have some elements that have aged poorly, and it's totally valid to engage with those elements and have discussions about them, it's still a series that's meant so much to so many people, and can be open to different interpretations.
Yeah, this whole franchise really can be a mixed bag, much like those Birdie Bots every flavor beans, which are very gross. With something like Harry Potter, I think it's also important to remember that the movies, theme park attractions, and stage show all took a ton of people to pull off. And the vast majority of Harry Potter fans that I've talked to absolutely hate Rowling's guts. Rowling still makes a profit off of merchandise, so obviously you should not purchase new Harry Potter books or merchandise. Likewise, you shouldn't support the new HBO series.
I still can't wrap my head around that. Like, even if Rowling wasn't horrible, to me and many others, these characters are intrinsically tied to the actors who played them.
I mean, for crying out loud, it's been 14 years since Deathly Hallows Part 2 came out, and Universal just opened a brand new ride based around these versions of the characters. It honestly feels to me like they're doing this because they just have no other ideas. They can't do anything without J.K. Rowling, and she completely sucks at telling new stories in this world, so the only option Warner Brothers has to keep the franchise active is to just reboot it with a TV series that'll take the better part of a decade to make.
I can't recommend supporting the show, but definitely don't harass people involved, obviously. Don't harass anyone.
But I think the single most important and powerful thing you can do as a fan of anything is make it your own.
Let me tell you a little something about fan fiction.
Write fan fiction, draw fan art, create OCs. Especially if you feel compelled to create your own trans or otherwise queer Harry Potter characters. Please go for it.
You're a homo, Harry.
How did you know?
Oh, honey, please. They should call you Neville. Because you are one long bottom.
Hagrid, you old queen.
Enjoyment of a thing does not inherently equal endorsement of its creator or actors.
But if Rowling's actions have completely soured you on the Harry Potter franchise and you don't want to engage with it anymore, obviously that's perfectly understandable as well.
Yeah, I personally have mostly checked out of the Harry Potter franchise with the exception of the theme park attractions. I definitely think that there are better fantasy series out there to enjoy. Heck, one of them is even represented in Epic Universe. But please don't automatically assume that someone is a bad ally or bad member of the community just because they still engage with a franchise that they enjoy.
And you also don't have to act like you never liked it and that it was always bad. It's okay to acknowledge that someone who let you down still had an impact on your life. But it's also totally okay to acknowledge that your tastes and interests have changed over time.
And really, I think that there's enough horrible things going on in the world that we really don't need to be at each other's throats just for the things that we enjoy. As Bill said, I think we all need to have more grace with each other. We're all works in progress. I'm better than who I was, but not yet who I hope to be.
Ooh, scary. Ghost. Ooh.